Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Sheets with Adam Perry, and Bobby's going to be gone for a little bit, so that means that with the boss not here, we could just kind of like create all kinds of havoc, like changing stuff around. By the time they'll get back, like, well, no one will even know. No one will even recognize the place. We just got to make sure to clean it up just as he's coming back in, like in the end of Risky Business, where they clean up everything and then you jump on the couch just as he's walking in. So what we're going to do, again, we're going to, with every perfected thing starts out with a train wreck. So we're trying to like kind of force a train wreck here to kind of start it going. So one thing that you've been following, if you watch any of Adam's stuff and the stuff that I do by myself, is we don't really get into too much stuff with the fundamentals, with the drill downs on like why a pitcher projects as well as he does, why a stack looks as good as it does. We kind of just leave that to the people that know a little bit more about that. And we really usually focus in on how to build lineups and how to build them, with various tools available. So this is coinciding with a kind of a neat little time in SaberSim, because SaberSim looks like about 10 days ago rolled out a beta of a new release that's going to be, I don't know when they're going to actually release it, but it actually attempts to do something that I've been kind of like preaching since I started playing DFS. Like the idea that, well, okay, so what people did back when they first started playing DFS or any fantasy is they started looking things on kind of a player level, like what player looks like a good play. And then as you got a little bit deeper into 2016-17, people started looking at least lineups, not worried too much about what each individual player was, but just looking at it from a lineup perspective. And I always was thinking, considering I'm a hedge fund manager, so I look at stocks on a stock level, and then I also like to look at it on a portfolio level to see like how the portfolio kind of behaves together. And then even more so if you run multiple portfolios, like i.e. multiple slates, right? How that all kind of plays together. And I was wondering when the industry was going to start at least attempting to do that, because it's probably really hard. That was in my opinion. And it looks as though SaberSim is going to attempt to try it. And so they're rolling out this beta, which they've even said in the video that they made on it. Well, I don't even want to tell you how we come up with any of this stuff. We're going to make it very black boxy right now. We're going to keep a secret, like how we do everything. And it's fine by me, and so what I want to do is just really start testing it. And the way I like to test it is just kind of by building stuff and comparing the outputs you would get from that to the outputs you would get using other methods. And baseball is always kind of a really cool sport to do that with anyway, because as you guys know, I mean, if you build lineups and you rate them by, say, optimal projections or whatever, you're going to end up one set of nonsense. And then when you run it and you sort by Saber score, you get a completely other set of nonsense. And then when you apply the contest sims with one set of settings, you get another bit of nonsense. So baseball, because of the way results distribute, so wild that you probably end up getting different views depending on what settings you use. So what I figured that we would try here is we would try to have, we'll have Adam do the builds, like the early builds for today, using why don't you use the regular? Do you have the regular one?
No, I used your projections because.
Well, I know that, but you're not using the beta system, right?
No, I'm not. I'm using the regular on TrueDFS with your projections, because we have to have the same exact projections.
That's what I'm saying. So what we're going to do is we're going to use my projections, the TrueDFS projections. But what Adam is going to do is he's going to build lineups using that method. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build lineups using the beta. And then we're going to see kind of how it looks. So why don't you just kind of talk through, what you're doing here?
Oh, I mean, all I did here was keep the default settings, switch to your projections that you get at TrueDFS.com, and run 5,000 lineups and simulate them, right? So we're simulating. Let's just assume everyone knows what a contest sim is, because we're doing portfolio stuff. So that's all I did for DraftKings and FanDuel, and I didn't make any changes to stacks. So like normally I would only allow the 5-mans and maybe the 4-mans, Here, I just kept everything the same as the default because I assume you will too, because you like to X them out after. So basically, we're trying to keep all things equal except the portfolio manager. So we're going to test out what we get with the portfolio manager.
Well, the one thing that's different though is that what you didn't do, you simulated them against what though? I mean, like, because you don't have anything
right
in the contest tabs.
Okay, so I simulated them against the flagship. That is true because you're going to have a range of contests.
No, but what I mean is, so it's so funny, like the different approaches. So I always, before I do anything, like upload my lineups, my dummy lineups, so that it knows what it's what exposures to give or whatever it is. So what you've done is you built 5,000 lineups and you simmed everything against the knuckleball. It looks like, right?
Is that the name of the flagship today? Or
yeah. Well, I see it up in the top right by your lineups up there. No. Go back to the other view. It says flagship MME, but you see in your builds, like the lineup view on the right.
Okay.
It says knuckleball. Like
okay.
Up. You see that MLB knuckleball up there? Yeah. So I'm even looking even higher, like under where it says download lineups. Right.
Yeah.
So you've simmed it and you're trying to figure out the best 150 to play in the knuckleball.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because so there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I'm not going to be able to play tonight. So I said, well, what is the thing that people care about the most? I think it's the flagship. I think the most people that watch content care about the flagship.
Yeah.
And so I want to build for that. So that's really the main reason that I did that.
Okay.
Otherwise, you should, I would think, upload your contest yourself. Although it could get a little tricky, right? Because SaberSim knows how many you're playing into each one, so it may grade them knowing that as how do I put this? If it knows you're playing one lineup, it just grades the best lineup. If it knows you're playing three lineup, if it thinks you're playing 3 or 4 lineups, it will sort of hedge them against each other in a way. And it's doing that even better now with the portfolio manager. But if you don't want that hedge and you just want to see what the pure best lineup is, you would upload your one single entry or something or whatever you're doing.
Okay, so before you announce what you have here, I'm looking at my projections and I'm just kind of guess. Okay, so you've already simulated against the flagship, and see, I look at like today's projections. I have pitchers so freaking close, like Ben Brown and Bailey Ober and Brian Wu and all these guys, that I think it could be kind of a war, as far as like where exposures go. And stacks wise, I mean, it's just as far as projections, I have the White Sox just like light years ahead of everybody for some reason. I don't know why. It would either be like White Sox and Yankees. Now, I don't know why this is happening here.
I don't know either. Here we go.
For both of them or just mine?
Looks like both.
Yeah, so we'll ping Gold. Is it just mine or is it Goldie's too?
No, it's Goldie's too.
Okay, so we'll ping him about that. But if things are working, you would see this. So what I will show you here. Let me get out of full screen. I'm out of full screen. I'm out of full screen. Out of full screen. How do I get out of full screen here? That's maximize. Okay. I'm going to share my screen now. So
perfect.
I'll show you what I'm looking at here. So, okay, so this is what it could look like, sort of, if it were looking right. So what it would show if I just looked at the projections is, I think what's causing all of this really is this one freaking projection I have on Miguel Vargas. Okay, which is just whenever I see like a position player like at the top of this thing, it's always kind of skews everything. So for some reason, I'm getting like a big projection on Miguel Vargas on my projections. And what we'll do is we'll run it with just SaberSim and see what the difference is. So that's probably why I'm going to end up with all these White Sox in the first place. Okay, is because of all this Vargas stuff. See these pitchers. So Ben Brown, Ober, Wu, and then here's another White Sox. So all these guys look pretty close as far as the way I rank them. So I'm not expecting anybody to kind of dominate. And then, as I mentioned, like for some reason, the White Sox, I guess because of Miguel Vargas, showing up is like a great play. And then the Yankees would be next. So again, it depends on what input you put in, what input you put out. So I'm presuming that if we use my projections, that I can't imagine that no matter what I do, we wouldn't get a lot of that White Sox stuff. But we'll see. So what are we getting when you run it just kind of straight normal?
Okay, so what I'm getting, let's look at stacks. Running yours without the portfolio manager. My highest owned stack is Seattle. 52%.
I'm not sharing my screen. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, there was a little confusion in what we're showing.
Yeah, I'm sharing mine. You reshare yours.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
Is mine showing up in the corner? Is that what's happening?
There you are. You're there now. Oh, I had you. No. Go back to the other monitor. You had it. Perfect. Got
it. Okay. So now stocks are coming in second. Now the question is, like, you could get the most of a team, but are you getting the most of them as your main stack is sort of the question too. So let's see, like 5-mans, it's tons of Seattle.
Wow.
And 4-mans, then you get White Sox in Seattle. So it seems like so you still have you have a 3-man White Sox, you get good amount of 5-mans. You kind of get White Sox in everything. It seems like it's using them to save money to get to other stuff. But that Seattle, you really get a ton of.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is so everybody's going to remember that, right? So mostly Seattle. What about pitching?
Let's see pitching, yeah. Let's go. I think it was Lodolo. Yeah, it's pretty spread out, but Lodolo the highest. Brian Wu makes sense if you get all that Seattle. Walker Buehler, Schwellenbach. Everyone's pretty close. I mean, 20 to 38%. A little bit of everyone here. But so the things we got to look out for is Lodolo and Wu, really. Okay. Are those the ones, if we use portfolio manager, like you're doing? Are we getting
so we'll unshare yours, and now we're good. Now we have mine up. And so here's a couple of differences. So number one, I uploaded my lineups, and that's actually going to be very relevant in a second. So the first thing, again, I'm not going from the TrueDFS interface because I suck. And I'm now going to be putting my projections in here. And this is the beta version. And again, with all betas, all OEM free. We don't even know, what's going to happen here. But I don't want to try to repeat what Jordan said in his video because I only watched it the first time. But what this new system is intending to do is to be smart about your entire portfolio. So in my contests here, okay, first of all, this is pretty cool. It puts up the entry fees. It knows that I'm playing 150 lineups in the knuckleball. It knows that I'm playing 10 lineups in the immaculate inning. It knows that I'm playing one lineup in the ball four, and it knows that I'm playing one lineup in the battery. Okay, so what the new algorithm or whatever you want to call it is purportedly doing, or is hopefully going to do, is take all of that into consideration when it builds the lineups. So I just want to see the outputs and see what happens. So
I want to caution one thing.
Yep.
We can't just compare exposures.
No.
We have to compare where you got guys, right? Because if you have, let's say you have a very small amount of Lodolo, but you have them in like the 888.
Right.
You're going to know that.
Right. So that's that's part of what I'm saying here. But that's the point. In other words, it's supposed to be different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I were I imagine, we could try. I imagine if you just built with nothing but the knuckleball, it would have to be probably very similar, right?
Right.
I think that what's more interesting is what's going to happen when I do actually take all that into consideration and see what kind of difference it is. So let's rebuild the lineups. I think I've done this before. And again, like you said, no changes, no nothing, rebuilding. and you'll see it'll look a little bit different after you see the normal analyzing simulations and all the stuff. You're going to see like diversify. And again, I know conceptually what's going on behind the scenes, but again, I don't have access to their code. Obviously, I can't really. And this is actually my what do the kids call it? This is actually my jam. You know, like figuring out how to make things kind of work together. That's like on my board right here over here. I have like 20 stocks like around my board up here, and people would come in and they would look and see what I'm playing or what I'm investing in or whatever. And they're like, why do you even put that up? Why do you show people? I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can tell people exactly what I'm doing. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. You know, there's one flaw in this.
Oh, there's plenty. There's
plenty of flaws. There's plenty of flaws. One of the things this can't do, and we kind of had this question in Discord, someone raised this, Lazy Lopez, is it can't say you played too many lineups, play less lineups, right? Now, that's not going to be a huge deal in baseball, but like when you use this for tennis or MMA or these like heavy dupe sports where there's a set number of plus EV lineups that is like way lower than it is in baseball, it can't say, well, you just played too many, you know.
Let me ask you this. I mean, do you think it's helpful at that point, if that's the case, to set like those filters to not give you any negative EV lineups, or is that not?
I think so, but if it's creating the whole portfolio together,
right?
The EV of the lineup changes based on your other lineups, sort of.
Your EV of the lineups change based on
they're working together. So,
well, because see what it is you don't. Yeah, well, I think the better way of even saying it is that you don't really care necessarily about the EV of the lineups as you care about the EV of the entirety of the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's another. That's right. So right. you may actually want negative EV lineups in your portfolio, or lineups that would grade negative EV on their own, but that do something for your portfolio in a way that limit.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, so you have an MMA slate where you have one fight on the slate, and you have it's a pick'em fight, and one. No, not a one fight slate. Shoot, I was gonna say like you have a fight where you know it's gonna smash one way or the other. Okay, 100% of the time, and whatever side wins that is gonna be in the optimal. But one of them is like a $7,200 fighter. No, I guess an $8,100 fighter who's a replacement fighter. So he's like plus 300 to win or something like that.
Yeah,
he's gonna always show up as negative EV. But you always want to play him. It's like in combination with the other guy, you know, because that way you know that one of those two is going to be optimal. Okay, so let's just see just what this did. So
how different this is.
Well, I ran it, and then I guess we just have to see over here, right? So under stack exposures, under team stacks, yep. So it's similar but much different, right? So. We would be getting a bunch of Seattle. We would be getting a bunch of the White Sox, but mysteriously, I guess, the Braves would come up to the top of the list. So I don't know what to make of that. You know what I mean? Like, what's cool is that I can't say why that is.
Let's see. Is there a way for us to see where they come up? Right, because it may be that you have more Braves because you have a lot of exposure to Braves, but it's that same thing. Like maybe you have Seattle in your bigger buy-ins, and so you actually have more leverage.
Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at. Let's see. Now again, I'm doing this for the first time here. So if we just look at the immaculate inning, for example, I mean I see Seattle, Angels, Cubs, Yankees, Seattle. There's like one Braves. There's just two Braves. So I guess it's there, but I know that there are better ways to do this, to look at this actually. And And then what do? We do this. How do we collapse this? So let's okay. This was immaculate inning. So let's do this. Yeah, I get there's got to be a way to just look at each one individually, right?
Right, because like let's say who's that fourth team? The Athletics, is that? So like you have Atlanta, Seattle, Chicago, Oakland, or Sacramento, or whatever.
Right.
But if you have a Sacramento in the 888, your exposure is, the amount of times they come up is not equivalent to the amount of leverage you have to them.
That's true. That's true.
It may be that you actually still have more leverage to Seattle and the White Sox. It's just that you have a bunch of Atlanta in the lotto or something.
Let's here's another thing that we can do. Again, I haven't. So within my lineups here, you can do something where you could, I think, specify. So are these are all of the lineups, it looks like, but this is. So what does this mean? So with my lineups, whatever this means, I think this is all 150. I don't. Oh, it's only showing 150. So I guess the answer is I don't know. You know what I mean? Like right now, what this is attempting. I mean, I know it's attempting to do, but I don't know exactly if it's doing it, and I don't know, like you said, like how to test it.
But one thing we can say, I mean, I don't know if we could definitively say it, but we could say you still get a lot of Seattle and the White Sox. I mean, I think
for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Who are your pitchers?
Yeah, so in my pitchers, it would be Lodolo, but much higher Lodolo, that's for sure. So 43%. But I'll tell you something else that's I'm gonna recommend. If they're going to do it this way, they should also make like a money exposure.
Right.
As opposed to just a lineup exposure.
Right.
They do that a little bit on DraftKings. When you look at the exposure things on DraftKings, you can sort it by money as opposed to whatever. So that's interesting. So for let's do something else. Let's do another build and we'll each do it. But instead of using, I always like doing this. Instead of using my projections, let's just use the SaberSim ones. Because I want to see what the difference is. So I'll go first, then you'll go second. So just in the beta, for example, when it's considering everything, I'm just going to use the regular SaberSim projections. I'm going to make 2 changes, and we're going to build them. And then I'm going to see like what my projections did to this whole freaking thing. Like, what is it? Just because I have just a ridiculous like White Sox projection, or is that like real? So we'll take a look at that.
Now, one question I have.
Yeah.
Let's say the portfolio manager is perfect.
Yep.
Just hypothetically, we know it never will be perfect, but hypothetically, how would you then stop using things like min uniques?
100%.
Okay, but so here's the question I have for you, because I have thought about min uniques a lot lately since SaberSim's made improvements.
I would 100% stop using it, to answer your question.
Okay, but here's the thing about min uniques is it gets you diversity that isn't necessarily in the portfolio manager, but it gets you, how do I put this? It gets you exposure to other things that SaberSim may not think are the best. However, SaberSim itself has its own biases and its own, it assumes perfection in their projections.
That's
or
true.
In your case, it assumes your projections
that is true.
are perfect.
That's true.
Getting diversity for the sake of diversity may still make sense, right?
Now, the other thing, by the way, I will display this, demo this, is this, if you know how to navigate this right, you could do the min unique stuff like like all at once, like for each contest if you wanted to. Like
Right.
there's a table. But I mean, if in fact, look, if in fact the portfolio manager is doing what I would want it to do, I mean, unfortunately, it would try to maximize the diversity like that,
Right.
right? But like you, but
But it is.
Go ahead.
It all assumes SaberSim is
That's right.
Is perfect.
That's right.
And so,
that's right. That's
yeah.
right. Okay. So, but you know what? Like Adam's point, and I'm thinking about this. It's what's really relevant about it is that again, like SaberSim is just SaberSim doesn't have a brain. You know what I mean? Like it if you tell it to do its thing with SaberSim projections, it's going to give you all the analysis based on SaberSim projections being the nuts, right? And if you tell SaberSim to use your projections, it's going to do its thing and tell you what's 100% correct with your stuff being the nuts. What Adam is suggesting, which probably makes a lot of sense, is you could use the min uniques anyway to say, you know what, I don't really care which one of you, if you think you're the nuts or not. I still want to get more diversification. You know what I mean? Now you're still going to be getting, the lineups that your projections are, would be taking you to. Okay. But still, you are getting a little more diversification than otherwise. Okay. So, well, this is sort of interesting because it's not even giving me that same look. Check this out. Like, it's not even giving me that template look. It's giving me like the regular SaberSim look. Now, he did warn me, by the way, not to try to mix and match.
Over. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm just into the beta here. So let's just see what this is. Oh, I think I have to run these things first, I think that's what has to happen.
Okay. Oh, you didn't sim them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Which so I can tell.
Well, I was going to say, and that actually, it's just 1227 though. Wait, no, keep running.
I have pretty interesting results using SaberSim projections.
Okay.
I'm even heavier on Seattle.
And I would imagine less on the White Sox?
Way less on the White Sox.
Right. That's what I figured. And
less on Lodolo, but still a good amount. Even more spread out in pitching, though. So, like, I had Lodolo as my highest owned at 38%. Now I've got Wu as my highest owned at 28%. But a whole bunch of Seattle, like 64% Seattle, then Atlanta, then Arizona, Pittsburgh, and then I get to Chicago.
So I'm totally guessing. So you see this build one? This is the one I just built before using beta.
Yeah.
This one I'll show you. I'll show you something interesting. Maybe it's not interesting. But hold on. So this had template. This has that new kind of look. You see this little work thing up here? This little icon next to build one. So that's like different than this, right?
Yeah.
So the build 2 one where it has the old look, it looks like that. So maybe that's. So now we've built 3. It looks. Let's see. Look at this. So build 3. I think this is going to work now. Let's just see. I'm just guessing. Build lineups. So when it's got this little skull and crossbones or whatever, then it's going to use the portfolio manager. But when it's like this, it's going to use the regular look, I'm guessing. So again, we're figuring it out like everybody else is. So you think that I'm going to get more Seattle, or we should get more Seattle and much less White Sox?
That's what I'm getting. Now, you're doing it a little different way, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that it's diversifying your portfolio and you still get 64% Seattle.
Right.
Like I can't imagine you will.
Right.
But a lot of it, yeah.
Let's just see. Okay, so it built the lineups, and now it says selecting lineups. Okay, selecting it for your lineup groups. Please wait while lineups being selected for your lineup groups. It looks like it's just kind of delaying or failing or whatever. Let me take this build out. Take care of this. You getting any of this Chad Patrick when you're in your builds?
Let's see, Chad Patrick. A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I've got 16%. He does have good stuff.
So what do you do usually when it kind of hangs like this? Do you just kind of run it again, or you just
I tend to just leave it.
just
Here
leave
it is. Oh, this is this.
See, this is something you've never seen before, the selecting lineups thing.
Yeah. I mean, it may just be that that's the speed of it in the beta right now.
So I'm just gonna bang around with it a little bit. But the fact is that Seattle's showing up no matter what we do, right?
Seattle's got to show up. It's hard to imagine they don't.
Who's pitching for Minnesota?
Who's pitching for Minnesota? Let's see. Ober.
Oh, Ober. Okay.
Yeah. See what the weather's like.
So now it says diversifying lineup groups. Let's see. Oh, okay. Still says selecting lineups here, but I think it's still going a little bit slow here. Well, one thing I will say, I mean, I don't know if this is relevant or not, but in the whole 5,000 lineup pool, the highest represented stack is the Yankees. So I guess that's a way of saying the Yankees are probably going to be the highest owned. Is that the?
I think so. It's tough. If we use every set of projections, I mean, we should almost do it with Goldie's and see if we get Seattle too. If Goldie gets Seattle and Saberson gets Seattle and your projections get Seattle, then maybe Seattle's
going to be higher owned than than we think, right?
So let's that's where
go for it. While I'm
intuition
waiting for this, why don't you rerun it with Goldie's?
Yeah.
So it still seems like it's stuck on this. So let's delete this and let's just kind of start over here. That's what I'll do sometimes. We'll redo this. We'll redo the ownerships. And let's rebuild it's weirdly still stuck on the selecting lineups thing.
Yeah.
So I think I must have either broken it or just confused it in some way.
Yeah, or just
let's just try one more time. Let's just see. You look at the weather for today at all, or not really?
Let's take a look. Yeah, we that's the one thing. It's all green.
Okay. And notably, there is kind of a nice little, there's a 2-hour gap here, but there are only 2 games in that late window.
Yeah. How do you feel about backloading just because of the value of late swap? Do you?
Right. So here's the problem. I do think that it's important. I mean, I do think that it's valuable to maintain flexibility, and here we go, right? So because I know that there's value, but yet I can't exactly quantify it, right? What do you do with that? What do you do with that? And
yeah.
Here, I mean, I'll just tell you some of the things I've tried. Now, I don't even know if this works anymore, but back in like 75 iterations ago of SaberSim, what you could do is manually upgrade like a team total.
Right.
and what that'll do is just filter all the projections down or up for that whole game.
Right.
And that's one way that you could, backload the projections, or the opposite. Like, you could downgrade the early slates or something like that. You could, and this would like really, offend my senses, but you could, request a certain percentage of like the late games or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. So I've tried a lot. And I'm now at the point really where I just haven't figured out a good way statistically to account for it. So I just kind of ignore it right now.
Yeah.
And listen, if you ever get that idea where there is a tiebreaker or something like that, like you're playing like one big lineup and you're really paying attention to it, and you're between and you're manually curating the lineups that you want to play, and one of them's got the later games, sure, may as well. So it does look as though SaberSim is kind of annoyed right now, and it's kind of in beta mode. So I am gonna give it a break.
Here's a report on goalies.
Oh, let me unshare my screen, and then you could reshare yours. Okay, you're now good.
Look at the Seattle. 62%.
There it is, huh?
Yeah. And Wu and Lodolo. So I don't know. This 6.8 ownership on Lodolo, like Wu, okay, 37%. 6.8 on Lodolo, it's getting a ton of him, and all the ownership on Seattle that it's expecting lower may just end up higher, at least if we flip the cards over right now.
It has to be, right? I mean,
yeah. But this is an early look, so things are going to tighten up.
Yeah, but what do you think about the idea that, okay, so you have here the top, you're getting 62% in the top 150, but look at your whole pool. Like the whole pool, you sort by pool exposure, like go on top right, like we sort. No, not sort. Just click on pool exposure to the right. Keep going to the right. You see the number right? No.
Oh,
left?
yeah.
So
the
just
50%.
click on. No, but go right on top of that, and you can probably sort that. Yeah. So for the whole pool, it's still Yankees 1, Cubs 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But so they could also be high owned, right? Like it doesn't. There could be multiple teams that go over owned.
Okay, so what I was able to do is I was able to do my thing in the beta with FanDuel. Okay, so and I did it with just SaberSim. So what we're going to do is do what we want to do with DraftKings. We're going to use just the SaberSim projections and do the same thing. And so what I'm going to do while I'm going to show people mine while I wait for you to do yours. I know you didn't do the FanDuel one yet, I presume.
I've got FanDuel for your projections. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind, I was about to say that your times are off, then I realized that you were in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So build for the whatever, the flagship over there, the six, whatever, the rally, whatever you said.
I've got it built for the flagship using your projections.
No, don't use the SaberSim ones.
You use SaberSim?
Yeah. Use the SaberSim ones first. And actually do the one with the most lines. Do like for the rally. The rally's got 150.
Okay.
And that actually the field lineups to use for that is actually low stakes MME.
Yeah.
I think.
Makes sense.
So we'll do that. And then so what I'm gonna do is while that's happening, I'm gonna show you my screen. And when I built it with FanDuel using it's got the same issue, doesn't it? Crap. Yeah, the selecting lineups thing is kind of broken. Well, so let's see what you come up with there anyway.
All right, let's run 5,000 SaberSim projections, FanDuel. Do you ever see who the highest pool exposures are and say, okay, I'm not getting a lot of Yankees anyway, and they represent 25% of the pool. Why don't I just build a pool with no Yankees so I get more of the other teams? And it gives me different combinations of the other teams for the simulations to choose from.
Say that one more time.
So you go like this. I'm going to go back to DraftKings.
Hang on,
It's
before
already
we
built.
do this, I want to put in the Saber Sim beta feedback. Stuck on selecting lineups forever. See what it says. And I'll go to tell Jordan.
Yeah.
As well. Let me see something. Jordan is here. I mean, posted in Discord as well. Demo. Okay. Okay. So what are we getting on?
Let's do FanDuel first. All right.
Yep.
All right. Saber Sim FanDuel 5,000 lineups for the. Oh, I have it for the squeeze still. Let's do for the rally. Why is this giving me for the squeeze? I turned on the rally and disabled the squeeze. Let's see if when these are done,
okay,
if it's correct. Should be. All right. There we go. The rally. All right. So biggest stack using Saber Sim projections is Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
They have the lowest total on the slate combined with Washington. They're in 10% of the pool, but it is Pittsburgh on FanDuel. We've got some Boston. Seattle and Atlanta's are still there. Very little of the White Sox. Let's see the pitchers. Bailey Ober. I mean, I kind of like that. If we're going to play a ton of Seattle on DraftKings, might as well get a healthy amount of Ober on FanDuel. You know, one thing the portfolio manager won't do, and that this doesn't do, and I always say this, it knows you're playing 150 on DraftKings, and it knows you're playing 150 on FanDuel, but it doesn't know you're playing DraftKings and FanDuel.
Well, that's something else. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to do it right, I mean,
yeah.
Let me ask you this. So I finished sort of the FanDuel thing. I hear it's a little trick here. So what did we have for FanDuel? Pittsburgh the highest, then
yeah.
Pretty spread out with the pitchers though, no?
Pretty spread out, yeah. Ober was 22%.
And this is 150 lineups in the rally or the squeeze?
The rally.
Okay, so it is a lot different. So let me show you what I have for mine. So I was able to, even though it's just selecting lineups, here for the squeeze specifically, first of all, for pitchers, like 45% Ober, it looks like.
Wow.
But I'm only playing 60 lineups. So let's make it 150. Oh, no, I have the squeeze, sorry. So in the rally. My bad. Yeah, so I actually do have, so 26% Ober and then 18% Woo. But let's see the Pittsburgh business. Ready? Let's see stack exposure. Team stacks. No. Okay. Interesting. Yankees.
Of
all things. So I don't know what to make of it, but I know it's doing something. that's for
yeah.
sure. That's for sure. Let's put it back up in here. Select lineups. Diversifying lineup groups. So it passed test one in that it's doing something different. I don't know what it means yet, but I'm going to continue to hound Saber Sim for more information. I'm going to continue to test, and I'm going to get Jordan to come on here to help me with this because I do want to start using it if I'm confident that it works.
Yeah.
One thing I would, okay, so here's something that maybe people could grab from this. One thing that I really don't like doing, and there's a site that I'm involved with a little bit that they really believe in this whole idea of being able to build in sets. Like if you're going to play 150 lineups, you're not sure what you do. You play 20 lineups using the Sims, 20 lineups using SaberScore, 20 lineups using 20. That to me is like a mathematical kind of philosophical disaster. Okay, like for me, I mean, I think you're almost doing better taking the inferior method and running it completely, as opposed to taking bits and pieces of all of them, because that by definition does not engage in portfolio management. That's like literally the exact opposite.
Well, so what happens when they overlap? I mean, we did it a bunch of ways. We still got Seattle. So
right, that's true too. So I would not, and this is very tempting to say, okay, I gotta, and I tried this. Listen, I'm guilty of this too. Like when I played MMA, sometimes okay, I'll build 30 lineups using MMA default, 50 lineups using the Sims or whatever it is. Drives you to lunatic asylum, and mathematically it's pretty bad. So when you're playing with this beta thing, I would not mix and match systems.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other case for using the beta is eventually the beta is going to be the alpha, and you're going to have to use the beta. So you might as well get good at using the beta.
That's true too.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be we'll be more directed to the particular slate and what we're playing tonight. You're going to be around later?
I'm not going to be around. I got daycare pickup. I have barely been playing because I pick up my toddler right before.
How old is he now?
17 months.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's cute.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So I will be around. I'm gonna actually, I'll be about at 5:30 Eastern time to go through the late stuff, and we'll continue to kind of like try to figure this stuff out. Listen, if you guys are committed to come to these noon things for the next whatever, this is the kind of stuff you're getting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go into like who really looks good. You know what I mean? I'll tell you who looks good. I mean, who looks Yankees? I guess Seattle. Woo. I mean, I guess
I'll try and do the Bobby bit of adding some color maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
There's every now and then there's a couple things you think that might not be caught in the projections.
Okay.
That we could add some value to. So we'll see if we could do that.
Great.
I'm not the best at that, but I think it's worth doing. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody showing up.